Hello and welcome back to Mexico News Network's Breaking News. Now don't forget where we are. We are in the beautiful Mexican Caribbean, shooting and broadcasting from the El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Charisma, a gorgeous adults-only gourmet inclusive hotel in the heart of Riviera Maya. Now stay informed 24/7 by logging onto our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com. And do not forget to follow us on social networks. You will find us as Mexico News Network on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Now let's continue with more information. As cities continue to grow at a dizzying rate, commuters are constantly battling ever-increasing congestion on the roads and a lack of parking just to get to work. But now a team of German engineers have come up with an ingenious and very creative solution, a flexible electric vehicle capable of shrinking, driving sideways just like a crab, and turning on a dime. The EO Smart Connecting Car 2 is an innovative design from DFKI Robotics Innovation Center based in Bremen, Germany, where a team of software developers and designers, as well as electronics and construction engineers, have been refining the smart microcar project for the last 3 years. Firstly announced in 2012, the team have moved on to their second iteration of the vehicle. It drives like a traditional car, but because each wheel is powered by its own motor, it also has the capability of driving sideways, allowing it to slide into very tight spaces in urban areas where parking is limited, according to Timo Brinskheim, project manager for the vehicle. He adds the whole process, the transition between normal driving and driving sideways, takes about 4 seconds. Now the prototype has a top speed of 40 miles per hour and can travel 30 to 44 miles on a single 4-hour full charge of the battery. However, it is the two-seater's ability to shrink around 1.5 meters in length that has the team excited about its uses in future cities. It is able to reduce its very own size by about 80 centimeters, which makes it almost like a small bike in length. And with this kind of feature, you can go into very tiny parking spaces. However, you are still able to turn on the spot, you are still able to drive sideways, and you are still able to connect to charging stations, for example. The car, in fact, reduces its size by partly folding itself. It shifts the rear axle to the front and slides on a set of rails, which raises the interior upwards while still remaining comfortable for the passenger. Now in more information, a crewless Russian cargo spaceship that had gone astray has ceased to exist. Russia's space agency said last week that the bulk of it burned up after re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. A very few small fragments of Progress M27M are expected to make it down to Earth. They shouldn't crash down, but instead splash down. Entry into the atmosphere occurred over the Central Pacific Ocean, Roscosmos said in a statement. The time of re-entry was at 5:04 a.m. Moscow time, which is 10:04 p.m. Eastern time. Progress M27M, also known as Progress 59, was supposed to deliver supplies to the International Space Station, but overshot its mark. Russian ground controllers lost contact with the spacecraft soon after it launched on April 28th. Though Roscosmos is still investigating the cause of the failed mission, preliminary evidence points to an accident in the third stage of the spacecraft's carrier rocket, Russian state news agency TASS reported. Even though the craft was not going to transport people, the failure will delay the return to Earth of some of ISS's crew members. They were scheduled to leave on May 14th, but will have to sit tight and wait for June. Roscosmos wants time to fully investigate the entire accident and carry out quality inspections on carrier rockets that have already been built and are waiting for launch. The entire cargo ship was carrying more than 3 tons of food, fuel, oxygen, spare parts, and scientific experiment hardware for the space station, according to NASA. However, none of it's critical to the ISS's operation. Even if Russia hadn't lost contact with the craft, The original plan was for Progress to burn up, re-entering Earth's atmosphere. The next planned resupply flight, which will be the 7th SpaceX commercial resupply services mission to the space station, is not scheduled to take off before June 19th, according to NASA. Roscosmos plans to launch a resupply mission in late June or early July, TASS reported. Now, to find out all you need to know about your body's vital signs, all you need to do is to get dressed. The burgeoning market for an intelligent clothing that can measure stats, including your heart and respiratory rate, has resulted in a broad range of wearables which could one day act simultaneously as an on-call doctor. People can be monitored 24/7 and not have to be in the hospital to do so, according to Bennett Fisher of Circuit X, the smart fabrics arm of Noble Biomaterials. The data collected can provide a general profile of a person's health. Now, the technology used is based on the use of conductive yarns, most commonly made with silver, which are woven into fabrics to act as sensors that detect electrical signals, acting as echocardiograms, ECGs, and electromyograms, EMGs, to measure heart rate and muscle activity, respectively. The silver can either be woven through a piece of clothing or else through tapes or patches sewn into specific regions of the body. You can put it in any close-fitting garment, according to Andy Baker, CEO of Smart Life, whose t-shirts and sports bra are set to launch in September 2015 with this new brand technology. The closer the sensor is to the skin, the better the signal detected. Signals are then transmitted to detectors, which is in the form of apps or on a smartphone or on a tablet, very easily carried by the wearer. The information collected can also be uploaded to the cloud or even sent to a third party, such as a doctor. Baker thinks this line of clothing could revolutionize entire medical practices. Now, the Mountain View in California tech giant is trying to get more women and minorities into technology with an ambitious $150 million plan. Google told CNN that half of the money will go to outside organizations and to communities, while the other half will be used internally to make Google more inclusive. In a blog post this week, VP of People Operations Nancy Lee set out that the company's strategy for 2015. It follows earlier public efforts by Google to increase diversity, including sending Google engineers to historically Black universities and working with Disney to improve depictions of girls in the computer science field. In 2014, the company put $114 million toward diversity programs. The company is also expanding where it looks for fresh talent by recruiting a wider variety of colleges. The lack of diversity in tech goes deeper than just the human resources department, though. As was highlighted by the Ellen Pao gender discrimination trial, company culture is also a key to keeping and encouraging a diverse workforce. Google is offering more internal training and workshops on unconscious bias, and employees can use part of their time to work on diversity initiatives. It is also looking at the root of the problem, expanding computer science education for kids and pushing to get underserved communities online. The company still has a lot of work to do. According to the diversity report it released last year, only 17% of its technology workers are female, 1% of its tech workforce is Black, and 2% are Hispanic. In the blog post, Lee said that Google plans to release 2015 diversity numbers very, very soon. In March, Google executive Eric Schmidt was called out during a panel on diversity at SXSW for repeatedly interrupting Megan Smith, the chief technology officer for the US and a former Googler. The audience member who pointed it out was Judith Williams, the manager of Google's global diversity and talent programs. It is not the only company putting up money into diversity, she said. Apple has donated $50 million to organizations that will help more minorities and women get into technological fields. Intel, on the other hand, is sinking $300 million into a program that expands STEM education to more diverse students and women. We'll be right back with more information on Mexico, the world of science and technology after these few messages.
Audio Jungle.